All right. Um, Part two. Well, not part two. Second video of today. Let me go over something that happened earlier in the week. I want to go over the brawl in Montgomery, Alabama. I have a interesting take. Now I have made it to my place of work and abode. So I'm killed, but quick 10 minutes. I got a quick 2 videos out of the day on the way to work, so that's great. All right, enough of that. I have an interesting take on it. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama originally. I don't live there now, but I've lived there at least a decade. And I've been in Texas for quite a few decades. So when I saw the story come across, and I was like, oh, wow, and I said, let me throw a little slap your mama on that. Not literally, but you know what I'm talking about. Let me give you a little backstory of how racial tensions in Alabama were. Now, if you from my area, you know Jim Crow was at the end of my era, but he was still there in legislation and name and so forth, so forth. So then you had the the Carter guy, which was the governor, racist, I don't know what. And you have all those things. You have Selma. You have all those racial tensions with the Martin Luther King. You have all those undertones, and then you have the poverty level there. So then you get to the disrespect. Black and white in Montgomery, Alabama, race tensions haven't probably improved that much since I left there. And that video shows it. Man hit a woman in the head with a chair. Yeah, that was a no-go, but she was in it. He was in it, and he said, let's do it. I don't condone it. Don't condone that at all. So my fondest memories of Montgomery, Alabama is it's really cold, it gets really hot, and when it rains, it feels like the ground is bleeding because of the red clay roads. So the poverty level there is this. You're either going to work at the chicken plant, the Toyota plant, go to the Army, be an athlete, get a scholarship, go to Faulkner, Alabama State, University of Alabama, Auburn, any community college there, or you're just going to have a whole bunch of kids. That's the life expectancy of Montgomery, Alabama for black folk. Still got relatives there. So you're either going to be fat, happy, and black, or fat, black, and poor. Now, the respect side of that, as far as the other side is, that other side is winning. Because they own or operate most of those other things I mentioned. And have a large holding of land, funds, etc., etc., etc. They're not to blame, but hey, we know how it all came to be, so it is what it is. So, I'll give you a couple takes on some things that happened to me before I left. I'll never forget this. I don't know how, but my father used to get some tickets to, I believe it was ACW. I don't know what it was, but it was wrestling in the Civic Center in Montgomery. We used to catch the bus, and then we would walk there to the Civic Center to watch the wrestling events. And this was in the 80s, y'all. The 80s now. And I remember this one particular incident. We were in the restroom, and we were just, peeing, watching the show, yucking it up. Kids, we're ages from 8 to 15. So it's, kids are eggheads. So we go in the restroom, and this little white kid is there, and there was exchange of words. The words didn't go so well. So one thing was good as another. And the kid was talking smack, and I think someone took their belt off and hit the kid with the belt. And he was saying some not savory stuff. And we did what all kids do. We took off and we ran. And we ran. And we ran. We ran all the way back, jokingly. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. He thought we didn't have the right to be there. And we were like, you're wrong for saying it. And you know what happened after that. So there's another instance I had when I was there. I used to live in Trinum Court, and we had a rival, which was called Two-Lane Court. I mean, one was about 1 or 2 miles from my elementary school. So we literally could walk to each other's neighborhood. And we would have competitions, and then a lot of those competitions end in all-out fights. These are 2 black projects. They will end up in fights, right? We would have races, basketball games. This is like 6, 7 at night. I mean, they just getting it. And then they would start like, ends the whole thing, So it was an event. It was the event of the week when the neighborhoods got together. We gonna get them Two-Lane Court, and that's what it was. So when I saw this video of the brawl, it started because of a pontoon boat blocking a bigger boat coming to dock. The security guard said, no, you can't do that. And I believe he moved the boat for them. They get off, and one guy's distracting him, and then the other guy starts to swing on him. And he's like, okay, let's go. And then the flood of white people came out. One guy was just throwing hammer fists to the guy. Boom, boom, boom. That was 5 or 6 white people. And then the black folks started coming out of trees. Then one young man swam, whatever you want to call it. I can't swim. I can swim enough for me, but me and my kid in there, man, we probably gonna die together. So the kid gets off, pulls himself out of the water, and he's ready to throw hands, and then he eventually does. So on one hand, the unity of all the black folk coming out like the Goon Squad, I'm like, yo, that's amazing. And then you see the footage of the guy hitting the white lady in the head with a chair, and the police are like literally letting them fight. And they got the tasers, which I'm glad they had the tasers. Nobody was seriously hurt. I just got through watching Marcellus Wallace. Love that dude. Love his show. And he brought up an interesting point of being neutral when he saw a black and a Mexican guy fighting. Well, when it was 2 black neighborhoods fighting, I wasn't fighting. I was just watching. I was like 8 or 9 years old. What am I going to do? So then I remember the kid at the Civic Center. Again, I'm just watching. I'm not doing anything. I didn't do anything. So when I see this guy and he's warring, he's in rage mode. He like, man, y'all got me. I'm finna get somebody. And then everybody else, all that tension, all that pent up lack of respect, put down. You can't own this. You can't do this. You got to live here. We live there. If you were middle class when I was there, you lived in Capitol Heights. If you were poor, maybe and you had a little money, you maybe moved out to Wetumpka. Or if you had a little money, you would live in what was it called? Ridge Coast. Ridge Coast was in Washington Park. I lived there. So Ridgecrest, Capitol Heights, you went to Bob Lanier, you went to Carver High School. Shout out to all you Alabamians if you know what I'm talking about. And that's the way it was. On one hand, I'm proud of the black people sticking together. I didn't like to see the white lady get hit in the head with a chair. That was too much. But as far as when you put your hands on somebody in 2023, here in Texas, if you ever put your hands on somebody in 2023, I'm expecting them to shoot you. So for them to have had this incident and no one was shot, no one was seriously injured. There's some arrest warrants now. That was cool. But as far as everything else, Montgomery, Alabama, man, that tension gonna be there because they've lynched there, they've oppressed there, they've killed there, they've suppressed there, and they still do it. And those people don't have anywhere to go, and they gotta sit there and they gotta take it. So my heart goes out to them, but this isn't gonna get better; it's gonna get worse because gentrification is happening all over the South. What was the slums is now becoming high rises. So that lack of respect, lack of wages, the thing with Amazon, the thing with UPS, who do you work those jobs? Who do you think works those jobs? So the equality in wages, the equality in respect, the equality of neighborhoods and where I can live, all that is not getting any better. So all this stuff is bubbling over and it's bubbling over in the public, and now we're catching again. So that's my take on it. I'm going to get in here, go do my work because I'm at work. Like, share, subscribe. Have a good one. Be safe.